Valentine's Day was never important to me, to be completely honest, to get gifts or something like that. But I like to tune into the energy of these days and use them as gentle reminders of the themes they carry. And Valentine's Day became a witchy self-care day to me, filled with a lot of magic. Now, I started this day by taking a shower and connecting to the water element. And while taking a shower, I always visualize everything stagnant being washed away. I also love to draw sigils on the wall and put fresh herbs and flowers in the shower, which right now is a little bit difficult because of winter, but I love creating little herb bundles with eucalyptus, lavender, rosemary, and just hang them in my shower. My skincare routine is sacred to me, and while applying my products, I speak affirmations into my tiny mirror in the bathroom. I look into my eyes, I gift myself a smile, and I also do sigils with the cream that I'm going to apply onto my face. And this is something that I learned recently, and so even something mundane as applying a good old moisturizer becomes super witchy and magical. Like, how cool is that? Dressing a candle is something that I can definitely not do every single day because it takes some time, but today, before I did the rest of my Glamour Magic routine, I decided that I wanted to dress this beautiful pink candle, and so I used some wild rose oil and some lavender oil, which are to me the perfect oils to work with if you want to embrace self-love and love in general. I used rose petals and also an herb blend that I did, and I carved symbols and sigils and words into the candle. And so I just love the aesthetic of a dressed candle, and I also applied the oil towards me because I want to attract all of that. And so yeah, this is what you want to do if you want to attract something when you dress a candle. Now, these types of candle holders are perfect if you want to do a candle spell because you can create a little bowl kind of, and as you see, I'm using rose quartz and roses and selenite and also a Shiva lingam and a heart, and so they are perfect. You can add symbols and crystals, and I'm also going to add a red thread to tie everything together. And so these are the spells that I love the most. They are simple and beautiful. Something else that I have been really enjoying is to dress up as my most magical self. And I have been so guilty of buying clothes only to store them in my wardrobe in the past, and I would let them there because I was like, we are waiting for the perfect moment. But I realized that there is no such thing, and it is always the perfect moment. And so I chose an outfit that made me feel super whimsical and good about myself. And I just really love working with flowy outfits because they underline my dreamy Piscean energy, in my opinion. And I have my Venus in Pisces, which is a secret tip on how to utilize your unique glamour magic. Colors are also really important to help you embody a certain way of feeling, and so we already are doing so much magic just by dressing up, and I am all in for that. And I also know that we have witches here that may not be able to dress up every single day, who don't have the energy or who just cannot. And don't worry, like a pajama or a comfy outfit can be magical as well. Makeup is another part of my glamour magic routine that really enhances my mood and helps me to embody my intention for the day. So I have been really enjoying playing with different eyeshadow colors and lipstick colors, and I also have been using a shimmery highlighter, and I just love the way it looks and instantly gets me into a more soft and dreamy mood. So playing with makeup to embrace the intention that you want to radiate can be a lot of fun, like showing up more confident or dreamy or romantic or creative is something that I have been really enjoying. And please don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you have to do your makeup to be in quotes more pretty. This is not what I'm saying at all. I just found a difference for myself when I dress up and do my makeup. I try out different colors, and even if it's just wearing some shimmery lipstick, I just feel more radiant. But please don't feel pressured to do any of the things that I'm sharing here. This is just an extensive routine that I do when I have time. But honor your energy level, honor yourself, what you can and cannot do. All of this is totally fine. I also started enchanting my jewelry with some oil, and I also tell the jewelry what it is supposed to attract. So using my breath, using some oil is something that I have been really enjoying. So I'm working a lot with the air element actually in my glamour magic routine. Like air and water, I feel like is something that I'm using a lot. I found that my healing journey is one of the biggest parts of my witchy journey, and I started womb healing and embodied work and just really getting back into my body and being able to feel my body after decades of just being in the head, like really grounding myself. And so embodied work is a big part of my daily witchy routine. And I started de-armoring my heart. This is a technique that one of my mentors called it. And so I started using essential oils and gently touching on my chest where the heart area is to open that area to all the magic in the world. And while doing this, I'm also sending so much loving energy to my past self, and quantum physics have shown that if you are working with a past version of yourself, this can actually have an effect on your present version. I really love to start my days intentionally with a glamour magic routine. And as you saw, it is quite a lot, so I don't have the time to do all of the things that I just showed you every single day, but I really try my best to include as many steps as I can in my daily life, because I can really feel that it sets the tone for the day, and I move through my day softer towards me and with much more appreciation towards me. And so it is an expression of self-love from my experience. And I feel like so many times we try to find love in something externally, but we forget that we need to cultivate love in ourselves and for ourselves first. And that's a concept, I know it sounds cliche, but I did not feel it until like a few months ago. I kind of knew about it. Of course, it's like everywhere, love yourself first, then the world can love you. But it's a totally different thing when you can actually feel the gratitude and the love for yourself, like really feel it in your body. And so this routine that I showed you is something that I love to do on like these days, like Valentine's Day or any other free day, because again, it really fills my inner cauldron. And I feel like the Queen of Cups reversed was just a good reminder. I don't do the tarot a lot anymore, but her showing up was like, you need to fill your cup first and then you can give to other people. And that was a hard lesson to me. Like, I was in such a wounded Pisces state. I always tried to save the world and everyone else, and I always said yes to everything. And I just recently learned to really take care of myself, to set boundaries and to fill my own cup first. And so filling your days with little acts of self-care and self-love is such a good thing, because it can help you get into this main character energy. Like, you are writing your own story, and it does not have to be difficult or like taking a lot of time. Of course, if you add them all up like I did today, it's taking some time, but you can do small things here and there, like drawing a sigil into your shower or adorning yourself with some wild rose oil or lavender oil, drawing a sigil on yourself, or dressing a candle or just lighting a candle, right? It really is the small little things that can help you feel witchy and magical and just get you into the right mood again for this I am the main character of my story energy. Valentine's Day is the perfect reminder to set up an altar for the theme that you want to represent. And again, I am all in for that self-love, but you could also create an altar for love in general, or the type of love that you are manifesting. And I chose a lot of reds and pinks and golden for my altar, and I also included this beautiful Aphrodite statue that I thrifted, and to me it just represents this Venusian energy. And I spend a part of my day researching her and connecting with her energy. So doing research about a deity of love and fertility is also something that a witch can do on a witchy self-care, self-love or Valentine's Day. Okay, witch bestie, I know this may sound a little bit strange and uncomfortable and cringe, but we are going to write a love letter to ourselves. And unfortunately, we do not write many letters anymore. So take the opportunity and write yourself a beautiful letter on a piece of paper. And when I first did this, I was so uncomfortable because I was like, what am I even doing here? But I promise you, it is so good and healing. You can also do this to write a letter to money, like literally everything. And it is really powerful. And you will be amazed how many things you will find after you climbed that first mountain of that is so uncomfortable and I am not lovable. give it a try and seal it with some wax, put it on your altar and just know that it is there, and have some gratitude for yourself and your body, because there is so many beautiful, unique things about you. And unfortunately, I did not find my sealing wax. That's why it looks super weird, but you get it. We seal it with some pretty wax, so it looks beautiful. Right now in nature, the ice and the snow are melting, and while I was observing this change in nature, I had a realization, because in winter everything is frozen and cold and hard, and you cannot see the water running and flowing because it is under a surface of thick ice. And the trees stopped the water circulation so they would survive winter, and so they also kind of protected themselves by becoming more hard and unbreakable. And so I thought, sometimes life can be hard, and or like many times life can be hard, and we may try to protect ourselves by also kind of shutting ourselves out from the world, by trying to become more cold and unbreakable and hard. And so today I was like, but we can allow ourselves to become more soft and flowing again. And it's not a weakness, it is actually needed, because think about all the evil queens that put the kingdom under a spell and they turn it into this winter hell, and it's like never getting spring again, right? And so spending days like we do today together is such a good reminder to allow ourselves to show vulnerability. Even though we are afraid to do so, we can allow ourselves to become more soft again, because in nature it's just a natural state that everything that is frozen becomes liquid again, right? Water can change its shape and form, and so spending time with the water element on a day like this is such a good thing to do, because it can really help you understand that kind of change in state and form, and allow you to remember that you are also allowed to become more soft again. I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself, but I think you know what I mean. And so at least to me, this was a big reminder for today. And I feel like I'm already embodying a lot of this more softness that will be present in spring. I really cannot wait for spring. But now let's keep doing all of the things that are on the list for today. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. Okay, so now we have to wait for a few minutes until our delicious tea is ready. And again, this is something super simple, and I just love doing tea magic because you can integrate it into your day no matter how busy you are. You always have the time for a cup of tea, and you can infuse it with your intention. You can choose the ingredients depending on what you want to attract that day or in general into your life. And so today, because everything is about self-love and self-care, I chose rose leaves. I mean, of course, because roses are one of my most favorite flowers when it comes to self-love and self-care, because if you think about it, they are beautiful, but they are also protective about themselves. Like they have thorns, and so personal boundaries is our keyword here. But I also chose some honey to invite that sweetness back into my day. Also peppermint, because peppermint is super powerful, it is protective, it is abundant, and also hibiscus, dried hibiscus leaves, I think it's what you call it. And just the other day I ordered so many different herbs and flowers and teas for my tea magic, and I just have been loving making my own tea blends because I'm always really amazed to see what colors I create, what tastes I create, because if you make your own tea, every tea blend tastes different, and so it is such an embodied magic, even though you would not think about that at first glance. But you smell the tea, you feel it, you can also taste it, and so it is such a cool magic and such a simple magic. And yeah, now we have a lot to choose from for our upcoming tea blends. Today again I chose the queen, the hibiscus, because she's beautiful and it's exactly what I need today, and I cannot wait to try out the mixture, the little potion that we created together. That is such a comforting tea blend. So it tastes a little bit sour from the hibiscus, but you also have the sweetness from the honey and the rose leaves. And we also taste peppermint. And to me, peppermint is a must in every single tea blend. And you also have this really beautiful red color from the hibiscus. And do you see what I mean now, right? You have the color, you taste the tea, you smell it, you feel it when you drink it. And so it is just such a comforting, beautiful, simple magic for every day. And I don't know, I just really love it. It already makes me feel so magical and whimsical. I can also stir it with intention, which I am going to do in a second. So yeah, tea magic. If you can only do one thing a day, do some tea magic. Stir your tea with intention, make a blend that reflects your intention. And I feel like we made it. We reflected our intention quite well. So I'm going to enjoy the tea, and yeah, let's see what else comes to my mind, what we can do today together to celebrate Valentine's Day like a witch. Now, something that has been personally really healing for me and helpful to understand more about myself and my feelings and my emotions, and also my aesthetic, like what kind of style I like on myself, is to learn more about my birth chart, and in specific to study more about my moon and my Venus placement. So the moon is your emotions. You probably already heard about that if you are working with the moon phases, or you have heard about the moon and its astrological meaning before. But the moon can really give you a good glimpse into your emotional world. And I found that I am so much more compassionate towards myself after learning about my moon and what zodiac sign it is in and what house, rather than shaming myself for the emotions and feeling the way I do. So this can be really helpful. And also learning about your Venus, because this can show your tendencies for a relationship, but also your personal style. If you want to do glamour magic, I feel like learning about your Venus placement is a must. Venus can not only show you what you are naturally drawn towards to in a relationship, it can also show you how you can have your biggest glow up. So for example, I have my Venus in Pisces, and so I just am really drawn to the water element and everything that it embodies in glamour magic and personal style. So for example, I really love flowy, dreamy dresses and something that is not restrictive when wearing. I love shimmer and glitter and really the fairy aesthetic. And I don't really like to dress bold or like in tight dresses with bold colors. It just really is not how I can see myself or how I would look good, in my opinion. And so, really understanding Pisces and what it embodies really helped me so much to build up my personal style. On the other hand, I have a friend, she has her Venus in Sagittarius, and she just called me the other day and was like, I am so tired of trying out all of these clothes. I want to stick to one like style. And I took a look at her Venus and I was like, girl, you need to express yourself. Like, you have Venus in Sagittarius, and so it is hard for you to stick to one style, but it's cool, you can try out new bold things. And so the next day she called me and she was like, I was wearing these over-knee boots to work and I never felt so good. So really learning about your Venus placement can be such a good starting point for glamour magic. And if you just want to understand more about yourself and your tendencies when it comes to your style and again your relationships, what you like, but also like what you should be careful of. So for example, you probably heard the quote that a Pisces never falls in love with a real man. They always fall in love with like a fictional character because they have so high standards. I went through this, so we can learn so much about ourselves, our feelings, our relationships, our style, just by taking a look at Venus. I was on my way to a solo date, but before that I decided to make a self-love pouch. And these are super simple. All you need is a little pouch and you fill it with ingredients that represent your intention, that correspond with your intention. So I used some cinnamon and some rose petals, some bay leaves. I wrote a little intention letter, and then I simply took it with me and I carry it in a bag, so I always have it with me. So again, this is a super simple magic that you can integrate into your daily life. Now, I just came home from a solo date in the bookstore and I just love spending my time alone. I highly value the time that I have for myself, and if I can go to a bookstore, I'm happy. Like, I just love smelling the new books and looking through books, finding a new book and then reading it and liking it. That's just the best feeling ever. And if you want to make me happy, bring me to a bookstore and buy me a book. It's as easy as that. And I know that it's probably not everybody's cup of tea to spend time alone outside. And it also took me a very long time to be able to go outside alone and to sit down in a cafe completely by myself and reading my book, drinking my coffee. But now it's such an important part of my week, and I have so many ideas when I'm by myself, and I have so many magical encounters now that I opened myself to this time. Like, I get coffee for free, or I talk to a person suddenly and then I understand something about myself or something like that. And I feel like because I make space for myself, that's mirrored back, if this makes sense. And what I did in the beginning, when I really had no idea how I could spend my time alone, was I sat down and I wrote a list. I wrote down everything where I knew I would love doing these things, like thrifting and going to a bookstore, going to a cafe, and learning more about folklore and history. So, visiting old castles and ruins. And when I had time, when I had a day off, I did not struggle to suddenly fill my day. I already knew how my perfect solo date would look like. And so after a while, I found out that it really does not need a lot to be happy when I'm spending my time alone. Again, just being in a bookstore, having a cup of coffee in my favorite cafe, or visiting my castle is something so, my local castle, like not my own castle, but it is just something so valuable. And yeah, again, I know it's cliche, it may be a little bit uncomfortable, but it is an essential part of my witchy self-care day. So, as a green witch, of course, I could not go without researching about some plants and herbs. And I have this massive book that I thrifted a few weeks ago, and I have been obsessed with it. And so I researched about some plants and herbs that are corresponding with love and self-love. And you could use any other intention and do some research. It does not have to be herbs, it can be like deities or colors or whatever it is, and then simply write all of your findings into your grimoire. A cord cutting ritual is something that I really enjoy because it is easy and you can do it for many things. You can do it for past heartbreak or anything that you still feel like you haven't let go of, a story about yourself that you keep telling yourself. And so what I usually do is I write down the things that I want to embody more. Like I, in this case, wrote down everything that I love about myself, that I'm grateful for about myself. And I then take the candle and sit with it. I infuse it with exactly this story. And then on a fresh piece of paper, I write down the story that I'm now ready to let go of. Like everything that I'm telling myself that I'm not good enough, not pretty enough, I write it down. And I also sit with the second candle and I tell it, you are the story that we are letting go of now. Then you want to tie the two candles together with an organic piece of thread, and in a fireproof bowl you want to light the candles. And I always take small candles so I don't have to wait hours and days and weeks until the thread can burn. And then after the thread has burned, I'm usually taking the story that I'm now letting go of, and I use the light from the candle of the things that I want to embrace more, and I burn it like I'm doing here. And with that, the spell is done. After the thread has burned, the story on the piece of paper has burned. And I recommend doing this outside. And while I was writing down all of the things that I love about myself and that I'm now ready to let go of, because I did this off camera again, obviously I have to film everything to show you, but some of the things are personal, so I usually do them behind camera and then like actually do the spell. And while doing this, I found that if you are right now struggling to show yourself some love and to get into the state of self-love, start with gratitude, because gratitude is so much easier. So for example, you could say, I really love my eyes and I love my hips and my belly, and like That's just examples. We are not there yet. But you could also say, I'm so grateful and thankful that I can see all of the colors of a sunset and all of the colors of the trees and flowers in spring. Or I'm so grateful that I have two healthy arms and shoulders and legs, right? It's like a really good starting point with the gratitude, and that's why a gratitude practice is so important if you are struggling with self-love. Yeah, this is just what I found while writing it down. I was like, wait a minute, gratitude is so much easier, and that's what I also do. So I thought that's a cool tip if you are on a self-care, self-love journey. Something else that you can do for a witchy self-care Valentine's Day is to make a spell jar. And you can say what you want about spell jars, but I have been loving making them, and to me they are really powerful if I combine them with other magic, but especially a honey spell jar is so powerful to me. And I filled it with some rose petals and cinnamon and honey, essential oils, some bay leaves and cloves, and like these spells have been so powerful recently. I have been stacking spells, and again it's like I'm building up a momentum. So don't underestimate a simple spell jar. And I used some honey that I had left, and I just love it. It's sitting on my self-love altar now, and it looks delicious and fabulous. Okay, I'm so excited. A package just arrived, and obviously I'm filming all of this for you in advance, and I want it to be out so you can watch it on Valentine's Day or even before Valentine's Day. But that's actually how I would spend my day if I'm like having my witchy self-care date. So that's actually what I do when I'm taking a witchy self-care day off. But this year I'm spending Valentine's Day actually with a witch bestie, and we were like, let's have a girl date, let's do something we have never done before, let's dress up like enchanted fairies and dine in a castle. I'm so excited, and I will probably bring you with me. But yeah, I would have never imagined that I'm spending time with a witch, another witch, because we had the witch wound, but we worked through it. So now we can enjoy a witchy, fairy-like girl date with a really cool human being. So yeah, I'm super excited, but let's see if the dresses will fit, and yeah. I have been really loving simmer pots, as you may have seen in my Yule videos, but I have been doing these so much recently, and I use some rose petals, some rosemary, peppermint, bay leaves, hibiscus, some essential lavender oil and cloves, and it smelled heavenly. So I really love doing these in the evening and having my house smell magical and beautiful. and then I usually add up with a cleansing, healing bath. And so this is exactly how I ended this witchy self-care day.
Der Kontrolle.